On this desk dispatch, I look at my new pocket fountain pen by Travelers Company. I look at the DIY refill that I put into my Travelers notebook. A quick touch base on the Zeppo Business Bag by Bleu Chauffe after 3 months of using this, and the vinyl that I am listening to. Hello friends, welcome back to Desk Dispatch, a place where I curate and discuss analog tools and items that cross my desk or that I'm experimenting with that play into my analog journey and all the things in there, as well as a little bit of digital minimalism in there as well. If you're interested in some of these products that I'm about to walk through, there will be links to them in the description below. First things first is a new pocket pen for my Lockbee wallet. The Travelers Company fountain pen always intrigued me. Its small form factor, its reliability and stability, at least what I heard on the various forums and people you talk to, it just seemed like a trusty, reliable pen. I love the brass aspect of this pen. I'm a big fan of the Kaweco Sport Brass, or the Kaweco Sport in Brass. It's one of my favorite pens. In fact, it resides on my Travelers notebook at all times. The Travelers Company pen is small. It's a pocket-sized pen, and the way this pen works is when you uncap it and post it, it fits perfectly in your hand for a quick writing experience. It only takes short cartridges, and the way I deal with the refills and things like that is just honestly taking a syringe and filling up my ink cartridges and putting it all back together. I've had this for about a couple months now, a little bit of further use on it. I did have one unfortunate spill of black ink because I dropped it quite hard on its lid and the cartridge came undone and just gushed ink everywhere internally. So something to keep in mind if you are interested, but I've been really enjoying this pen. It's been fantastic. I have never had issues with it drying out in the 2 months that I've been using it, even if I go days, maybe even a week without actually using the pen. Speaking of Travelers Company, I'm a big fan of the Travelers Notebook. And I was talking to my friend Lara, and her YouTube channel is over here, by the way. I highly encourage you to check it out. She's got some great stuff. One day she showed up at Stationery Club and she was showing me her new insert, which was quite thick. And it was in a Midori MD insert. And I was confused because I hadn't realized that they were making these inserts in a Travelers Notebook format, the skinny and long. So I inquired about it, and Lara shared that actually, no, Midori doesn't make a specific one, but what she ended up doing was cutting it down to size by herself, a little bit of a DIY project, just because, like me, she wanted more paper in an insert and more bang for buck with good quality paper. And I'm a big fan of the Midori notebooks. I love them. The paper is a little bit more toothy, but it gives you a little bit more versatility in terms of being able to sketch, draw, and use fountain pens in there, kind of in one catch-all. And the fact that there are so many sheets of paper inside a notebook. So, taking inspiration from her and being far more lazy, instead of wanting to cut it down to size manually, I ended up taking this Midori A5 to Staples with exact dimensions on where I wanted to cut to fit within the Travelers notebook. And they had a great laser cutter available, which is effectively a gigantic press that would line up the laser and get the precise measurement of a cut. And I've got perfectly clean cut notebook in here. The cut was a perfectly straight line top to bottom. And it's been wonderful. I've been absolutely enjoying having the Midori notebook as an option within my Travelers notebook. It's been fun, and I think I've been really just gravitating towards the watercolor sketching and fountain pen all in one spot here, which has been a bit revelatory in terms of the on-the-go journal nature and commonplacing that I was doing, but just having a little bit more space and expanding on top of that. Before we jump over to the vinyl that I'm listening to, this shirt wearing is by a company called Local Laundry, and I love it. It's a company based out of Calgary here in Canada. It's wonderful, it's soft, it's plush, it works very well. I took it on a business trip as my after work tee, and I love wearing it around town. They've got lots of great designs. I gravitated to the Canada Heritage one. I think it's a beautiful representation as a Canadian. And the fact that all their materials are actually sourced locally here in Canada. This shirt is made here in Canada. Just wanted to throw that out there as a proud Canadian supporting our industries and our local shops and businesses. If you're interested in picking one up for yourself, check out the link in the description below. You can use my code for a 15% discount. And they've got more than tees. They've actually got a few accessories like toques and hats, as well as a shacket, which is like a shirt jacket, and hoodies as well. I'm a big fan of the Zeppo Business Bag. I've been using this quite a bit. I've had it for about 3 months now, and I cannot get enough of this bag. And it's just so wonderful in terms of versatility of using it as a business bag, obviously, which I get plenty of comments about at the workplace, but also as a personal bag when I'm in a pinch. I wouldn't carry it as a personal bag all the time. I've got other bags to do that. I've got my Indiana Jones satchel and my Fjallraven 20 backpack. But if I don't have the opportunity to switch things up between transitioning between events, and I just have the one bag, that is my go-to bag that I seem to keep on me at all times. I even put up a video recently about how I used it on a recent business trip and just what things that I've been packing in there. And today I just want to show you quickly how it's been patinaing, how the leather has softened up, and to answer some questions that I received about this bag. It's a bag by a company called Bleu Chauffe out of France. It's a business bag. They've got lots of other different styles available there. Their leather, which I can speak for, is just absolutely incredible. And the nature of the bag in terms of its soft, kind of broken in aspect that you have when you first receive the bag actually breaks in a little bit more with time, at least 3 months in, and the patina has developed very nicely so far. The flap on the front of the business bag is a question for a lot of folks out there in terms of whether it'll dog ear, if it's pressed up against something, will it permanently crease? I've tossed this bag around a little bit more than I probably should have, and I can vouch for the fact that it is doing absolutely fine. I cannot get enough of this bag. Vinyl has been a big part of my analog journey recently. This has been an area of exploration. I've been curious about getting away from digital apps and going down the digital minimalism route in support of a more analog journey. And don't get me wrong, my streaming service, Spotify, has its place in terms of listening to music at work, listening to music on in the car or on road trips, but where Spotify, for me personally, hasn't been very great is just the intentionality behind listening to my music and how I want to do it. And I put up a video and I got a lot of commentary. There's clearly a lot of people passionate out there about what kind of music they're listening to and how, the key thing being how they're listening to it. And lots of opinions about, everything from CDs to records to streaming services and the quality of streaming services. I didn't really mean for it to be a format wars, but it ended up being some of that in the discussion that was taking place on the video in terms of the comments there. But really for me, it's about the intentionality, and vinyl is somewhat inconvenient in some ways. And I think that's actually great for me personally in terms of slowing things down, working with the tools that I have, and getting a very intentional experience in terms of how I'm listening to my music. Maybe it's subjective bias. I don't know. I just love the fact that I have physical records, physical media that are a little bit finicky, that have their place with respect to how I put it into the turntable and what kind of sound I'm getting out. It's just been a wonderful experience. So part of the desk dispatch going forward is just me sharing some of the vinyl that I'm listening to. Really quickly, again, I've explained this in a couple of other videos, I inherited, and I'm so grateful and fortunate, I inherited almost 200 records from my in-laws when they heard that I was getting into turntables, and they even gave me a couple of turntables because they wanted to pass on that musicality that they grew up with onto someone who I guess would be happy to carry on the tradition and listen to the music that they've been listening to. The records that they have in their collection, so much of it resonates with my listening preferences. Jazz music from the 50s, the 60s, the 80s, all the way through to classical and pop, a little bit of pop, but 80s music is what I would probably classify it as. as well as some rock in there as well. So I've been really enjoying just kind of taking my time listening to these records and cleaning them, listening to them, putting them on the turntable. So moving forward on Desk Dispatch, I might share one or two vinyl every time we talk on Desk Dispatch about the music that I'm listening to and what resonates for me, just kind of like I do with books sometimes in terms of what's resonating for me. So that being said, I've got three. I have been digging the Bruce Springsteen Born in the USA record. I love this guy. I have been enjoying it. It's been just a wonderful listening experience. And, you know, Born in the USA, even though I'm not an American, I can resonate with it. There's just such an amazing thing that Bruce is doing in this record about telling a story of what it's like to be an American at this point in time, in terms of the narrative that he's being exposed to in his life. I can't get enough of this record. I have been listening to it over and over, as well as my kids have. They just seem to enjoy it. The other one that's really been resonating with me lately is the Beethoven Pastoral Sixth Symphony by Funk and Wagnalls. And I love it. It's been the record that I put on in the mornings when I wake up on the weekends, and sometimes the one I put on at night falling asleep. I have been enjoying this so much just because it's, you know, classical music is quite enormous, just like any genre of music, but the Sixth Symphony here, the Pastoral, is Beethoven's, it seems like it's Beethoven's resonant music for me, at least in terms of just what it's evoking. I feel very peaceful when I listen to this music, even though there's elements of tension in there. It's playful. It's relaxing. It seems like it's just a very beautiful approach to one's day. It is from 1966, published by Funk and Wagnalls, 1977. So there you go. Classical music from 1977. Wonderful, beautiful album here. The last one that I've been just playing over and over, my son really likes this one too, is the original Chico Hamilton Quintet. And I love this record because this music was recorded November 11th, 1955 in Long Beach, California. And it's surreal when I'm listening to this because I feel like I'm right there in a bar, in a jazz bar, listening to these guys play. And it's interesting because they have this tension that they're building up with respect to the grind of the music and the jazz elements that are natural to jazz music, of playing with the different moments within the music. It's actually quite relaxing, even though there's a little bit of a tension and play happening there. But what I've been really enjoying about it is the fact that it feels like I'm at the jazz bar listening to these guys live. It's so incredible. So my analog journey has been going all over the place. I talked about the analog habits in a few videos ago, the analog tools that I've been using, and then I got into vinyl. And so I'm a bit curious actually in terms of what you want to see with respect to some of the ideas that I've got percolating for my next narrative style driven videos, which I really enjoy doing. Those are my creative outlets. I also enjoy doing the Desk Dispatch here. But there's a third component in there where I do a little bit of a gear review type of thing. I was wanting to receive some feedback from you folks out there who are watching this channel and watching me explore into different things. Some of the ideas I've got for upcoming videos, the number one on the top of my mind is how notebooks and pens, how the use of a notebook has changed my life. I've been using notebooks for 15, 20, 30 years now. Almost 30 years, yeah. And then, the impact that it's had in my life and why I still use notebooks today in a digital world. Digital has its place for me, don't get me wrong, but I always gravitate back to a notebook in terms of how I approach things in my day-to-day. Idea number two was a walkthrough about the desk actually behind the camera here, which is my digital desk. It's been in some videos. It's not the desk behind me. I have done a couple of videos on the analog desk behind me, which is obviously a favorite of everybody's, mine included. But my digital desk is another place where I spend quite a bit of time at home writing on, as well as typing away at, of course. I thought it'd be interesting just to show you some of the, material components of what my digital desk comprises of, and where I got the desk itself, which is actually quite a wobbly piece of wood. that I picked up for dirt cheap, as well as the chair behind the desk that I sit at. The analog disc behind me technically is my wife's now, even though I do spend quite a bit of time at it when I just want to focus and do nothing else but be absorbed in pen and paper. But the digital desk is where I sit at when, of course, my wife is in this room with me, and also where I'm editing videos and recording things or researching and doing a hybrid style of taking notes or writing down things in an analog format and translating them into digital. So a quick digital desk overview, if you will. And the last idea I had here was a look at my evening routine in terms of analog and what that typically looks like for me, especially the comparison between an analog routine on the weekdays versus an analog routine on the weekends. My life is quite busy during the week, just like most people's, everybody's, I think. On the weekends, I do try and do different things. Spend most of my day outside of the house if I can, or with a book or notebook and pen. But in the evenings, I've got a very structured way of how I approach my evenings and intentionally trying to focus on analog activities. We have family movie nights, and we are very intentional about when we do them and how we do them, being in front of a screen. But the rest of the time, it's very much trying to be in an analog format. I've got other ideas percolating here. I'm going to put this all up on the community page in a post, maybe in terms of a survey or a poll. I would love your feedback. I really enjoy making content in terms of exploring my creativity. I love that narrative style of video that seems to combine a few different elements there and just really resonates with the style of content that I want to put out in the world and fulfills me. Thanks very much for joining me at Desk Dispatch here. If you want to support the channel, there's also a link to buy me a coffee in the description below. I appreciate everybody who's participated through that platform there. It's meant honestly to just support the content generation of this channel and fuel my caffeine needs as required. For example, tonight I couldn't sleep and I'm recording at 11:30 midnight. I'm recording this at midnight and I'll be up probably in 4 hours recording some of the desk shots there. Thanks for joining me on another Desk Dispatch. Take care and bye for now.